Well, welcome. It's just another beautiful day, and I'm here sitting having an amazing conversation, and it feels like we were talking forever and ever because it's just energy never lies. We just love this amazing conversation when we just meet amazing people. And today, my dear friends, welcome to the Love Mastery Podcast with Avni, this beautiful woman. I asked in a beautiful leadership group with one of our amazing collaborators, and I was looking for women that are into love and relationship and wealth and in business and everything you desire. And to me, for the ones that don't know me, my name is Blangelica, but to me, love is whatever it is for me, for you, and for everything around me. And it's beautiful to connect up with amazing women that throughout their life, they just learn to go deeper within their love. And as we dive in today, today's conversation, it might get spicy, and I love spiciness. You know me, it's like raw, true spiciness, fire, love, and light, and everything else. But you know what? Sometimes we were just taught to like disconnect from the world at times. We were born to just be disconnected from our own intimacy into our own love. And when you learn to go deeper within your body, this amazing transformations happens within us. And today we have the amazing Avni because she's a relationship and dating coach. She's also an intuitive energy healer, and she's also a sensuality expert. Oh, I love that. That's when we get so fire. And she's also creator of the Soft Rich Woman. And oh my God, this is and it's a movement, ladies and gentlemen. This is like when all these women come into this space and we get liberated. And that's the amazingness of this. Thank you for being here. How are you, my dear?
Oh, thank you so much. I am good. I'm having goosebumps as you started talking. I was like, whoa, what is she saying? That's like, it almost feels like we're creating an energetic space. That's like and when I feel stuff like that as a healer, and sometimes people think we're ADD, but we're not. It's really just like you're feeling the energy, right? And it's like been coming through, and I'm like, ooh, I wonder what this space has in mind for us. So yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for having me. I'm doing well. Thank you.
So I hear that you help ambitious, intuitive women to break actually old relationship patterns to also reconnect with their feminine power, deepen their connection. And oh my gosh, it's different when we connect within our bodies. And our intuition never fails. It's always so beautiful to connect within our bodies to magnetize the love, magnetize the intimacy, because pleasure is not a sin, my dear friends. And the pleasures of life, the pleasures of love, the pleasures of your relationship, the pleasures of creating a business that you are in tune with, that is amazing because then your life will start flowing with ease. So tell us, before all of this crazy, amazing sexiness, tell me who was Avni?
Thank you for asking. Yeah, so I am originally from India, and I was actually in corporate before I started doing all of this. Actually, I was doing personal development side by side with my work. I actually have a master's in public health, believe it or not. And then now I teach sensuality, I teach feminine, and I'm so into like just wanting to know how to create miracles. Like, how do you quantum, right? Like, when people will talk about quantum, and it's like, well, but how does quantum miracles actually happen? Um, and so, yeah, so I used to work in corporate where everything was linear and there's a progression and expectation. And I even was a coach for a little bit in corporate. And I was like, man, I cannot do the corporate speak. Like after a while, I was just like, this is like I have to filter 15,000 things through my head, and then now I've lost the point, and then nobody takes me seriously because I've lost the energy of it, right? And so, and then, I currently I'm a mom. I'm a mom of two. I have a 7-month-old baby and a 5-year-old. Yeah, and so yeah, when I moved from India to the US, and how did I get into this whole thing? Well, everything started to work in my life after a certain point, like money wise and things, except the area of romance and love. And that was like the thing that just like wouldn't work. And I thought, and, as a data expert, I thought, oh, it's a numbers game. Let me go on many, many dates. And I even had a spreadsheet of dates, and it did not work. It did not work. It was not an analytical thing at all. And so I really had to, uh, not had to, I learned what actually works. It's like when you're in your heart. And I had to sort of look at the trauma, if you may, of whatever had shut my heart. And that came from my childhood. And there was so many layers of it. But also, one of the things that really woke me up back in 2013, I had called off my engagement with this perfect on paper guy in 2012. And I was like a month from the wedding, and it was like, oh my God, this guy is perfect, except it just was not. I'm so glad I did that, because we would have probably ended up divorcing a year later or whatever, and thankfully my family supported me and all of that. And yeah, in 2013, I started really, really getting into like, well, what the hell happened here? How did this happen? And so I really started going deep dive into pleasure. And then around that time, 2014, 15, 16 is when hired a dating coach. I had a pleasure expert, and I was working with an energy healer all at the same time. And so then that's how I kind of ended up with no intention again of actually being a coach. I thought I would go up the corporate ladder, and then you see the things that happen there, and you're like, that didn't quite work out either. So yeah, in 2022, I quit my job, and it was a great job, but I was like, yeah, not doing it for me. And then I went full-fledged into doing this. So here I am. I don't know if that was what you were asking, who I am.
Yeah, definitely. And I totally understand. I mean, I worked for corporate 17 years and 7 days a week. I was tired, and then I had to learn to keep my mouth shut because every time I spoke, I would get written up.
Yeah.
Until I said, okay, I have a plan. I have a escape plan. So I started creating my escape plan until I just went in there just to be a money making machine, basically, until I said I was done. And so I left last year. Actually, I will be a year in June 2nd. But between all that, I built a storefront. I also sold my store. So this is like a new chapter completely, which is amazing. I totally understand. And we should never shrink. I mean, and like you said, the energy is amazing. Our knowledge, our gifts, that just to be expressive and speak our truth and allow our emotion state of that amazing energy to spread around, because I remember that I was the motivator in the office. When people were off, I will walk in. We got this, guys. Are you guys ready? Let's fucking go rock and roll. We're gonna sell whatever. And I will get on a on a bulletin board, and I will create, I don't know, whatever it was, but I will get that energy intact. Because why? I felt if I was the one silenced and they were all in a different energy, then I didn't want to be in that space. I had to create a space where it was comfortable for me to walk in. So I totally understand where you're coming from. That's amazing. Let's talk about love and life, because in reality, what does feminine, like living in your feminine power, truly means to you?
Yeah, I mean, this is such a good question because there's like so many feminine coaches out there. Everybody has, I mean, there's, and I've seen some stuff where there's almost like uh what you want to call it? Like a perfectionism of expectation of what the feminine should be, and then also perfection expectation of what masculine should be. For me, what I think when I think feminine masculine is first within yourself, right? Like that integration within yourself as a feminine and a masculine being together, right? So the masculine being the side of you that can, that A, has structure, creates performance, actions. Well, actually, that's not true. Action is in both feminine and masculine. I think people think that if I'm feminine, I'm just like laying and do nothing and there's no action that happens as a feminine. I disagree. The actions that you will do as a feminine in your feminine essence is different than what you would do in the masculine, right? But you would still do action. Um, and yeah, and the feminine is about the heart. It's the intuition. It is about connecting with your womb creativity, right? Are you hearing me? Is it echo?
Yes, of course. No, no, no. I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, so I think it's creativity, womb intuition, and heart.
I love that. Yeah, and I get it. Integration is a very powerful word. I call it inner unity. It's the same. Um, you know, last year I didn't have a choice.
Mhm.
I was so wounded into my masculine and like I said before, the hustling and all that. And I said, I don't want to work by myself anymore. So I had to recalibrate. But it love broke me, but love also rebuilt me. So when you mentioned that, yes, um, we have to take an action. We could become the master manifestors. You could be an amazing feminine embodiment coach, but in reality, everyone has to take an action, especially in your early stages of entrepreneurship. Like
Yes.
even an action to be okay to ask for help, an action to say, I'm done doing this and I need help. Because sometimes we know it all. We just know, we've been so um suppressed into just having all this masculinity, but in reality, it's within you. It's within you, knowing how to surrender to a deeper love, not to anyone else, to a deeper love within yourself, and allowing your masculine to lead. It's beautiful because you know what? One of the things that I love doing to balance that, it's dancing. And when I call it dancing with the flame because when you're so in tune within your body, you feel your masculine even dancing with you. And then you feel her femininity just flowing and moving her hips. So it's so beautiful to see that. It's so beautiful for a woman to come into her body. So I truly get it. You know, and when you talk about, and this is so important because I know that there's a lot of women out there that have been struggling to balance them out because at times we do let ourselves surrender, but then we're afraid to take an action
Hmm.
and to move. And I
Yeah.
was saying very clearly, actually, I made a video this morning because I every time I travel, my life shifts. So I come with an action plan. And I said, okay, then this happened. What's my action? And I said, I'm gonna fucking get it done in a week. So I went in and I worked my butt off for a week. And then I said, okay, I'm tired now. I need a rest. I took 2 days to rest, and here I am back again, full of energy and full of embodiment and relax and enjoying this conversation. If I would have been more into my masculine, I think I would have been in a different energy. I
Hmm.
would have probably just came in and probably not even listened to you.
Yeah.
It's a whole different vibe. It's a
Yeah.
whole different vibe.
Because you're
Totally
so
understand.
exhausted, you can't actually be present. And if we prioritized being present, which is I think ultimately what the feminine masculine integration really looks like, and the feminine is like just being able to be present in the moment, to feel and see and sense what's going on, right? Like even just from the beginning of this conversation, from when we were on like not recording part, right? To here, I can already feel the energy shifted like a few times, right? And when you're in touch with your feminine, you'll feel the energy shift, right? And even even right now, I'm like, there's so many things I could be talking about, but the thing that came through to really express was the part about the presence and being present as the definition of feminine, because there's so many things about that too.
Okay.
And I love what you said about the dancing, by the way. It just it keeps like reminded again, kind of reiterating the point that action is going to be a part of it, either before or after, right? Like, but like I know dancing is a way to get into the energy of pleasure and flow, right? And yeah, so anyway, that's what I just wanted to share that when you said, yeah, like I think it's so much presence, like just being able to be present with the moment. And then the other thing that came through to say is like, yeah, like let's stop exhausting ourselves to the point of like one of the reasons I got into this work more and more full time is because I got a diagnosis of like Hashimoto's, right? Which
Oh
is
yeah.
ultimately an autoimmune that has basically has to do with you're exhausted. You're exhausted because you're pushing. You've pushed yourself so much to do certain things. And why did we do that? Because we were told that that was the way. And I think that's what keeps women from being in their feminine is this scale that we have been measured with, which is a masculine scale ultimately, which is how much we produce, right? We are not, as feminine beings, at least, meant to produce all the time. But if you start pretending that women need to produce like men, like factory workers or trained to produce, you can exhaust yourself. And so I actually had like not much of a choice but to study a different way. And then, as I started studying it, it was like, oh, this is the feminine and we call it the feminine and like that. But I didn't start out going, I'm going to study the feminine. It was really like oh shit, like I can't move, like nothing's happening, right? And so I want to just give the like a permission to listeners if you're like, oh, okay, like I don't have to, have a definition or whatever. But it's just like as lived in life, if you're like exhausted, you're probably not in your feminine. Because I can tell you that like yesterday, I also had another podcast that I was on. Man, just sharing my truth and my voice, just which by the way also is feminine, is to speak what is there, right? And speak even when other people don't want to hear it, or you might shake up somebody else's world, like be a thought leader. I was so energized. I was so excited. And I have a 7-month-old who's teething right now. And I don't know if anybody can relate to that, that like it's brutal because he's breastfeeding, but he's like trying to rub his like teeth against my boob, and I'm like, oh my God, stop. Like and he like feeds like 3 times in the night, and I'm like, wow, like what's going on? So we were exhausted, but it got me so energized just speaking my voice, speaking my truth, being in my, true genius, if you may. And that's also
Yeah.
feminine. The
That
G
is feminine. That's vulnerability and that's raw expression. And we're here to feel expressed. If you don't express yourself, how can you receive the love from the masculine? Because masculine men love to have a woman that could express herself and her desires. So it's important to me to express. And I really don't care if people don't like my raw truth, but I'm here. I live from experience and I'm an emotional generator. So when I speak, I have the energy to create that in such a long time, but I know when to pause before I actually overwhelm myself that I can't probably work for a month. And that's when women fail sometimes. Then they just go, 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 go. And at the same time, they just crash. And then it's so hard for them to get in that cycle. So that's why it's important for me to just take breaks between my work as another co-creator, and that's what we're here for, because
Yeah.
in reality, if you don't put that time and effort and actionable steps, how can you move forward to your next step?
Yeah. Yeah, and I do want to congratulate you on what you just said, that you started putting breaks in there for yourself. Because even the feminine, like the menstrual cycle, if you just look at that, it's cyclical. And it's not that you're like producing an egg all the time. No, there's the producing the egg, and then you drop the energy, right? And then the hormones change and all of that. And then there's the shedding. So it's a part of like biologically too, right? Like biology tells us like this is how it's supposed to go. Like you don't have to keep pushing. But in a world that has been, shaped by the programming that went behind something like the Industrial Revolution or whatever, right? Where maybe not even that, it's the war. My husband and I were talking about this, where when war happened back in whatever, early 1900s, they needed women to come in and start working like men, right? Like a lot of that also has shaped how we think we should be when it's like not really necessary. That
Yeah. And that brings us to emotional connection, because that's when we start crying, we're not in tune with our body. And then so I'm gonna ask you, like, when we speak about this emotional safety, and what does emotional safety actually look and feel as a woman for you?
such a great question. So like I said, I was on a podcast yesterday. She asked me the exact same question. And I'm like, huh, I think that's interesting that that question keeps coming up. But I think that's because people are actually talking about it. People are thinking about it. So here's my take on that. It, yes. So in a relationship, you don't want to be in an abusive situation. That's not safe. That's just literally physically not even safe, right? So unless like a man is like doing things that are physically unsafe for you. But I think emotional safety actually starts from within. When you feel like the level of self-trust and faith within yourself, because that's actually the lens through which we're looking at the world. See, if you grew up in an environment where it was okay that certain kind of behaviors were tolerated, then you grow up thinking that that is love or that is safety and that actually feels safe when it's actually not safe, right? So being able to get it, like when you're in that healthy space, you actually can discern it, right? And so that I think that emotional safety starts with self-trust within yourself. When you have that self-trust of like, actually, I can navigate no matter the situation. And are we going to go through situations where that's going to get broken? A lot, right? And so like right now, personally, I'm in a phase where I've been building because there were some decisions that we made over the last couple of years that didn't work out, and we lost a lot of money, like lost a lot of like time also. And then but it has strengthened my trust within myself even more. And if we don't do that repair part, so basically like even anything, right? If you have a breakup of some sort, or if you got scammed, like I personally, we got scammed. And if you have those things, you start to trust yourself less because you're like, wow, I made a mistake. And forgiveness comes in there. And also, but a lot of like community also, right? Like being seen in community will also help you build your self-trust. So I think emotional safety starts from within with self-trust, and then yes, and then using that lens of like, I got me, like I'm there for me, I have my own back. And even if I mess up, I will take care of it. Like I will be supported, right? And it's not an ego place. It is allowing some powers higher than yourself to help you, you know, take care of yourself and really build that self-trust. So I personally, that's my stance
I
on
love it. Yeah, I talk about emotional regulation a lot because I am an emotional generator. So everything I process through my emotions. And let me tell you, I had to regulate them. There
it.
was, because I remember years ago, I would just break down because I just thought, I mean, not only I had to heal inner child wounds, and we all go through that, right? But it's how to process my emotions so that I know that I'm okay, like self-trust. But then allowing myself to feel. We
Yeah,
were taught that you can't cry. What would people think? I don't care. If I have to take a day to cry my ass off to so allow to my emotions to flow and feel it, if I'm that vulnerable, I will do that. And it's okay to cry. It's okay to process your emotions. It's okay to be vulnerable. You know, as humans and as women, we are an emotional being.
yeah,
So it took a lot of regulation, but I was on it. Like I'm not giving up on myself. I'm gonna feel everything until using energetics and using energetic fields. Now, emotions run through me, and I fucking move them around, and I go outside and play, and we move them around. So it just becomes easier when that emotional state of mind it's actually regulated. And I bring all the woman and I speak my truth, but it's okay. It's okay to feel, it's okay to set boundaries so you could stop allowing your heart to be broken over and over and over because you are the standard in this life. And I love that. I love that for emotional regulation.
yeah.
And
And I just wanted to say, I think you bring up a really great point. Emotional safety does start with like being able to express your emotions.
yeah.
Like a lot of times I just wanted to like it doesn't depend on other people allowing it. Like for me, it was anger, right? Like I always used to get angry and then I never felt it was okay for me to be angry. So I love that you said about the grief. I almost never go to crying. I always go to anger first. And, like we use all these like methods to like kind of like I used to only be able to do that when I drank, like when I drank
Oh
alcohol.
yeah.
And I could only
Yeah.
let myself completely let it rip. And then I got bad rap, and people thought I was an alcoholic. And I was like, no, that's not the case. I just want to be able to express my anger. So yeah, totally. Uh feminine is acknowledging that uh emotional side of ourselves and not just shutting it down and being like, well, you know. And that was the other part with corporate. I got really good at shutting all that stuff down.
We
Like,
get really good. We get really good. I mean, what can we do if we cannot be fully ourselves?
yeah, yeah. Sorry, I know you have another question.
Yeah, how important is embodiment for this nervous systems? Because I mean, in reality, not only is emotionally state, but also the nervous system. We all desire that.
Yeah.
I remember that when I started doing all this regulation and embodiments, because let me tell you, for everyone listening, this is not an overday. You cannot go into just a form and regulate and say, ha, it's a magic wand. No, it takes embodiment, it takes mastery. I continue to say this and I will never stop saying this. But it's important. These embodiments will take you to mastery, and these embodiments will take you to a devotion within self. So, how important is embodiment and nervous system regulation when it comes to a healthy relationship? Now that you're in a healthy relationship and you have two amazing kids.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it is the most important thing. One of the things we do in Soft Rich Woman, my mastermind, and really the reason I created it this way is monthly I have like an embodiment practice. And one of the reasons again I did it this way is because it's hard. We haven't been trained to do it. In fact, we were told to shut it down. So how do you bring it back up? You actually have to practice it. And sometimes we need spaces where you are allowed and you're taught, quote unquote, not that you need to be taught how to release, how to be angry. You already are. You just need some space to let it out.
Get
You
it
know,
out.
and so it's super important. And like in my relationship with my partner, yeah, like I know that if I'm not doing my regulation, it comes sideways out on him and it comes sideways on my son. And they see it and I mean, that was part of the whole, I mean, that's how I ended up in this work is because like my mom didn't have tools. And she was never taught tools. She just screamed and hit
Yeah.
and things like that. And it doesn't work. In fact, that's what creates the abuse cycles in general in the world. And yeah, so it's super important to learn how to entrain yourself to now allow it to come out of the body, right? So before I even started, and this is my one of my favorite examples, that I went to therapy for 1 year and I was like, God, I keep repeating the same freaking story over and over and over. And my therapist like didn't want me to quit, right? And I was like,
Of course.
of course you don't want me to quit. But a year later, I was like, I haven't made any progress, I'm just like, and she kept, in fact, if anything, she kept invalidating my story because she didn't understand the Indian culture and this and that. And I was like, okay, whatever. But yeah, like you can't talk your way through this stuff. You have to feel it. You have to actually feel it. You have to let yourself feel it. So I love everything you're saying, girl. Like we're vibing. We're vibing for sure.
Let me tell you, I also went to counseling therapists, psychiatrists, and they could never figure out. Well, fuck, of course they couldn't figure out. They just wanted to keep me there until I said, no, no more. I'm done. I took ownership of my life. I didn't tell my doctor that I was going to get off of pills. And I'm not telling anybody to do that because I don't know how regulated you are to take ownership of that. I worked on a plan for myself, which is a plan I allowed them to do it. But when I took ownership of my life, I said, no more. I'm going to create this. And I did. But guess what? I healed from it. And it was such a beautiful essence to walk into after 3 years not taking any pill. I walked into my primary doctor's office. He's amazing. I mean, nowadays I only go once a year, but back then I used to go every 2 to 3 months. That's how bad it was. I'm like, doctor, I can't do this anymore. And I walked in and we're just talking about the lake live ocean because there's nothing else to talk to me about anymore, right? So and I said, it's been 3 years. I have not taken any meds or anything. I would like for you to just take me off. And that was a celebration for me to
Yeah.
allow myself to delete myself from all those things that I no longer need. And when it came to therapist, it was just long lasting conversations and a never ending story. And I said, no more. I
Yeah.
was done. I'm proud of you for that too. I celebrate everyone that. I
Yeah.
think therapists are great, amazing people if they combine their true gifts in this world.
Yeah. Totally, totally. And I think, that's where I think your work, my work, I feel like the women who come to at least work with me that I know of, like they've tried a bunch of these ways and it's not working because ultimately you bypassed your body in all of this, right? You're just in your head. And I think if you say feminine, number one thing about the feminine is connecting with your body,
Yeah.
right? Not just your brain, the rest of your body. And so, yeah, absolutely. If we are not regulated, yes, then they only know what they know, right? Like then they'll give you a pill for it. But if you start to learn, which is really what I
I think it's more like come into your body like you're mentioning because that's what I did. But it's like something's off. If you really want to feel right, I am a person that I don't like to be stuck. So at all times I'm digging for information. And that's how I really came into this amazing life, right? Because if not, I would have never been able to get out of that vicious cycle because there was a time in my life and it was 2018. I no longer want to be part of this world. It was how that was how bad it was, right? And if it wasn't because I was in my lowest life and my lowest of my whole entire life that I said, I mean, I don't want to freaking die. I want to be better. I know I'm not sick. There's something different. There's something off. Until I started discovering it more, and there's more information, and there's more information. Here we are talking about it.
Yeah. What are some of your favorite practices, or what had you get into it?
I first started with meditation. That was my first go-to. I would sleep with meditation. To this day, I sleep with meditation. For anyone listening, I think if you're in the early stages of your healing, that's the first thing I recommend. Because why can you not sleep with at least frequency that you can start working with your subconscious? That's the first go-to that I will go for someone that is in their early stages of their healing journey.
Right. Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Just like being able to watch your thoughts and just observe and let go and just being able to be in that space. Um, I found a few practices to be very, very helpful. Breath work is one, like anger release. I like that you said dancing. Dancing is such a great one. Self-pleasure, and I'm not talking about masturbation. Very different
Yeah.
energy, right? Because masturbation still has that very goal-orientedness to it, and self-pleasure can just be about feeling and touching your body, where you're just enjoying your body and just being in the moment with your body and checking in with what your body needs. And sometimes it's, yes, I want a peak orgasm, and sometimes it's like, no, I don't really want that. I just want to move the energy or be touched or not touch and just hold my heart, hold my pussy, hold my womb, something like that.
Yeah.
And then the other practice that we go into, my husband and I, we have a 15-minute partnered orgasm practice.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So that one has been such a game changer. And I mean, we love it because it connects us really quickly. Him and I, because it's, yes, it's sexual in nature, but it's a practice for presence, ultimately. Whatever brings you present in the moment. And then of course, I could not talk about this one is healing, energy healing. I'm a sound healer, and every time theta healing, so to release the programming, which is the gunk in the background that we have all the time, right? Your shoulds, your past fears, disappointments, your I must do it or I'm screwed, like all that. We first have to release that, heal and let go. And then you actually get to come into like, oh, okay, well, there's nothing else. Let me just go to the beach today, like instead of like worrying about what somebody thinks or, all of that. So we release a lot of that energy. We can. And even though I'm the healer, quote unquote, um, you're the one doing the healing if you choose to. And I know you made that point a few times where you said, I said no more. And that's it. When you say no more, like you say, I'm taking the control, the sovereignty into my own hands, that's it. Everything starts from there. So yeah.
That's it. It starts from there. And I remember meditation was the first go-to. Then I became a Reiki master teacher. And then I healed. Then I started doing my first healing deeper. Then I opened a store and did that. But then now it's just a devotion. I started with embodiments. Now it's like I have to breathe every day. I have to meditate every day. I have to do somatics daily. And if not, I'm walking outside. And if not, I'm doing other subconscious programming, whatever it is is that I have to do for my embodiments. It's always in my life daily. It became a devotion to myself. It became part of my feminine intuition to work within my body because I refuse. It's so easy for everyone watching. It's so easy to fall back into old patterns that
Yeah.
if you do not devote yourself to embodiments and to become sovereignty of your whole entire being, oh my gosh. And once you're hit inner unity, there's no turning back.
Right.
There's no turning back. And I, for me to always stay balanced, I have to come in within my body and there is no distraction. I do not allow any distractions during that time. It's my time. I do not negotiate my self-love. I do not negotiate self-love bath that I love. I do not negotiate when I want to dance. I Everything is non-negotiable in my life to that point. Why? Because you submit to the standards. That's the standard of life. And when you know that that's your standard, whoever is meant for you, and this, you could try this in a relationship, but I just tell every woman should have her standards. Her husband, or if he's really into it, he will meet her there. Because
Yeah.
if love is really true, devoted in that relationship, he will meet you there. Now I had to walk away from a relationship that was not willing to meet me there. And
Yeah.
that's what you need to see. And if that person is not ready to meet you there, then he probably never will. So you have to understand that there's circumstances that you are okay to walk away and not having given no fucks because you love yourself so much that there's no way you're going back to old patterns. I'm raw with this because I have lived it myself.
Yeah, and totally 1000%. The man will meet you there. My husband, now I will say it's not always the easiest
No.
for him to be with a woman like me that is holding the standard, right? And so there is a grace that I have to give him while he uh calibrates. But I'm not
Yes.
saying, I mean, that grace period is like a day or two or like a little bit, right? Like women go months and years going, oh, I think he'll get there. It's like, no, that's not right. And I think one of the most important things to call out for that is that if you're a woman, which I believe if you're listening to this podcast, you are someone who's dedicated to your growth and development, I would hold a standard for your partner to also be someone who is a man who's also devoted to that growth and development for himself, right? Like there's men's
Yes.
work. I mean, my husband, I think there were like a few points where I was like, yeah, the one point, this was 2019, this was about 6 or 8 months after we were married. We'd been together for a couple of years at that time. And I was like, married or not, I'm walking away if you don't freaking fix this shit. Like, I don't know. I'm out of options at this point. You figure it out. And the option was not to go to a therapist or whatever. And he stayed. He did the work. He did the Mankind Project at the time, and oh my God, completely changed the entire fabric of our relationship. But I was holding the standard the whole time, right? Like,
Yeah,
do
it takes
not
it takes
drop.
for you to hold it. This is it, and to know when to stop and walk away if you need to. I mean, that doesn't mean that maybe the relationship could recalibrate later, but then I mean, sometimes you don't want to wait too long because you will end up tired. You will be hurt. Anger will consume you. You
Yeah,
will actually react so much because you're not happy. I was her. I was her. I will react all the time. Why? And I'm like, "Ah, this ain't shit. This is not for me." So I raised my standard.
yeah,
Now
totally.
we're best friends,
Wonderful.
you
Yeah,
know? So let me ask you something.
yeah.
What do you believe, genuinely believe that this world needs more of? I think she's there. Can you hear me? Oh, Amonte. I think
Hi.
oh, there you are. Are you back?
Yeah, I'm
There
back.
you are. There. So tell me one thing. What do you think that the world needs more of?
More healing, more looking inside and focusing on like, and when I say healing, I mean like heal the parts of yourself that keep you are, we each of us are miraculous being. Like miracles are not just special to me, but like they're available for every single person. But it's this inner healing that we need, and more of living in pleasure. And I don't just mean sexual pleasure, that's one aspect of it, but like come from your heart, like do the things that make your heart happy. And yeah, and take on the journey of inner healing, and really coming into a appreciation for your journey so far, right? So this you've been through things in life, like do the work, do the inner work. I think that's what the world needs right now the most. Like, we are so quick to be looking outside of ourselves, like, oh, the politicians, and oh, da da da. And it's like, yeah, okay, sure, they're doing whatever they're doing. But imagine if they were doing their own inner healing. My God, wouldn't our world be a different world, right?
For sure. Stay away from distractions for a fact.
Right. And so, yeah, totally stay focused on your mission and connecting with our purpose even more as human beings. Like, this has been a question I've been asking of myself since 2013. Like, why am I here? What is it? Like, why? And not from like I want to leave, but like, okay, tell me, somebody tell me something, tell me somehow. And it's come over time for me. So, yeah.
And we continue to download for what more, what more, what more. And every time you conquer that purpose, and then there's more, there's always more. There's so much room for growth. And I'm so happy to just allow this conversation to flow, because there's always room for more. And the more you do, the more it comes.
Yes.
And like I said, there's always different layers. I'm so happy you mentioned that, because in reality it's true. Just because you have done your healing work, and just because you are now successful in banking, that doesn't mean that there's another layer that you might have to peel. But are you listening to your body? Are you connecting within yourself? Are you surrounding yourself with people that are actually allowing you to be freely, that you are trusted, that you are actually speaking your truth? Because in reality, we're not here to judge. We're here to just like open that capacity to receive whatever the hell you want in life. And everyone is worthy of receiving more, you know.
Yeah.
I love that. Where can people find you, my dear Abdi?
Facebook, Instagram is like the best way. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Instagram is Soft Rich Woman. That's my mastermind where we actually do the healing and the embodiment. I think like I said, that's the thing that's needed right now the most. And yeah, it's for women, the mastermind, and we meet 3 times a month. We do the practices, we get the coaching and all that, and create the love and the life, the relationships, in personal relationships, and the abundance that we need and want together. So that's
Thank
where.
you so much. For everyone watching here, the Love Mastery podcast, I just want to remind you, your body is not against you. Your emotions are not against you. They're not weakness. Your sensuality is not a sin. You're not here to suppress anything. You're here to be liberated. You're here to be yourself, to be authentically you. You're not here to copy anyone. Everyone has their true essence. There's no competition. There's nothing. All you have to do is be authentic, be genuine, enjoy the pleasures of life, fall in love within yourself. More abundance flows in when you actually take an actionable step to get to. And when I take actual step, it's just to allow yourself little steps over time until you know you can master it. There's nothing here in this world that I believe you can't complete in this journey. I am a life path 9. I don't fucking give up. I'm here to just go and live this life. My life, it's to me, it's a game. I'm here to win. I'm here to help others serve and rise up to the top, maybe with the raw truth. And if it triggers you, it's because there's something in there that is actually making you feel triggered, but in reality, it's awakening you to your next step. Thank you so much, my dear friend, for joining us today. It's always a pleasure having amazing people like you here. And until next time, friends.